Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is Talking Points episode number 59. Talking Points, our weekly show where we round up all things Tottenham and delve into the latest talking points that we can find. And this week's Talking Points, we have Kane, Kulu Son, the best attack in the Premier League, ? I always have to make sure I add the question mark before it starts. World War, well, not even going to say World War III. Let's not even talk about wars. Introducing my esteemed, fabulous guest, as always, Paxton Road regular, Sean Hurl. Welcome to Talking Points. How you doing?
Good evening, Sam. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm interesting to hear your take on the talking point. We're in a good place. We've had two very good weekends, results-wise, one after another, and we face a not too difficult fixture, I'd say, coming up. So
a winnable fixture, as they would say.
A winnable fixture. Let's put it that way. I think we've kindly we can stop talking about top three, given that Chelsea seem to have discovered how to beat Southampton or slaughter them.
Was it not you that said we could mathematically still win the league, Sean? I'm sure you said that. You said that tongue in cheek not too long ago. I do recall. So
I sent a message around our WhatsApp group, but if you notice, there's about 15 lines of emojis with me laughing. Basically, the other three teams would have to implode. But
exactly,
yeah, mathematically we could still win the league. But yeah, I will. I long ago I made a vow that I promised myself that I'll probably not see us win the league. But we were close with Pochettino, and depending on the summer, I suppose we might go very close with our current incumbent in the coach's bench, Mr. Conte.
Well, I hope so. I hope now that we have seen phrases, the old cliches, fruits of his labor. He made sure when he joined us in October/November, I think it was November, he was very clear to say there's a lot of work required. We need to work. We need time. He didn't have that time. And I know I got frustrated at times with seeing some of the decisions that were being made. But again, I look back now and I think, the guy was only in the job for a couple of months. He had to deal with the transfer window that was, got a couple of players in, had to deal with all the players going out, etc., etc. And I think now we've got to see at least someone who's been in a job for 3 months plus, got his feet under the table as such, and has now discovered what Spurs are like, what the players like, and kind of now beginning to mold things in his image, I guess. And yeah, it's looking like a good start to the first round of Conte transfer window. So let's look at the three players that are under the I guess not so much scrutiny, but certainly being lauded by a lot of us, a lot of the pundits and TV, and we've talked about quite a lot now. And obviously that's the front three of Kane, Kulu and Son. Again, playing at the weekend, a 4-0 victory against Aston Villa, a tough first half game, but I think the pressure, the power, the front three, they were all involved in the 4 goals. Obviously, Son got the hat-trick, Kulusevski got 1, 2 assists from Kane, and 1 from Kulusevski. Talk to me about that front three and how you thought they played in that game, and what is our reliance on these guys at this moment in time?
Well, I mean, I still find myself pinching myself and saying Kulusevski, 21 years old. He's never played in this league before. He's come in. I was a bit underwhelmed, like a lot of people, in his debut when he came on as a substitute. Thought, but since then he's just absolutely, he's just blossomed into an incredible asset for our football club. Possibly helped by the fact that no one knows much about him in the opposition benches. So often, sometimes a player will get a bit of leeway because the defenders don't know what to do with him. But you could see that Gerrard at the weekend decided one way to deal with him was to basically try and cut him off at the knees, and maybe that will happen a bit more. People will try and do that to us, given the success. If you want to count, putting a player out for the rest of the season as a success,
In the old days, they
It's
called
cool.
that the hatchet job. Go out and do a hatchet job on them.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
wasn't too far from a hatchet job on some of our players. And one of the things I wanted to say, Kulusevski had some horrible tackles placed on him in that game against Villa. And what I like about his attitude is he's not a roll around player. He's not a stay on the ground, feigning injury. He gets up, gets on with it. Really good attitude.
Brilliant attitude. Brilliant attitude. I mean, I think you've alluded to the part, the fact that he left home in Sweden when he was quite young to go to Italy. No support around him. He's had to, learn a new language, a different style of football, perhaps from Scandinavia, and he's blossomed in Italy. And obviously, we took advantage a little bit of Juventus's. They were all doughy-eyed at Vlahovic, but they didn't have the money. And given Paratici knows that club inside out, we used that knowledge to extract what I think is a player who's going to be a really, really good part of the Tottenham future. Certainly, at 21, he's got a whole career ahead of him.
100%.
And obviously, what can you say about Kane and Son? I mean, you thought that last season was incredible, given that, they basically were the fruit of every, they were the cause of everything that was positive about last season. And this season that they've gone on again. I mean, Kane is a transformed player. It's like he's lost weight. Like, not that he carried any weight, but he seems to have lost weight.
I noticed that. That's one of the things I said.
He's just got better. I mean, it's incredible the things he's doing, and he's not scoring yet. We're still putting in 4s and 5s, and we've turned around a negative goal difference to give us effectively an extra point when it comes to the shakedown come the end of middle of May.
Plus 19 to Arsenal, plus 9 now, so 10 goals, and we was negative not so long ago.
Yeah, minus 2 seems to stick in my mind.
It was not too long ago as well. So yeah,
incredible. I mean, let's just really enjoy this purple patch. As I say, Kulu's got a bit of grace, perhaps, because no one knows how to deal with him. But what a player! What a player!
Yeah.
Incredibly left-footed, but playing on the right-hand side, still able to create things with his right foot as well. You sometimes think he's too unselfish. Why doesn't he take a few more shots himself? He seems to be in the position, and yet he passes. Look! No, Son gratefully took that hat-trick goal from him on the weekend, didn't he?
So we're going to delve into a little bit more of the details regarding these 3 players. But, one of the biggest kind of like headline that's coming out in a moment, obviously, well, not obviously, but since the turn of the year, we are the highest scorers. And in terms of goals, assists for the front 3, Kulusevski, Kane and Son, they have, and I'll say it in order, Kulusevski has 9 goal contributions in terms of goals and assists. He has 3 goals, 6 assists, and this is just the Premier League, by the way, people. Kane, 15 goal assists. Sorry, 15 goal combinations, 8 goals, 7 assists, and Son 13, 9 goals, 4 assists. So you can see the total. My maths is not that great. Well, 15, 9, that's 24 plus 13, that's 37. I think.
Unbelievable.
So our front 3 players since the turn of the year, and remember, Kulusevski didn't come in until end of January.
Effectively February he came in,
yeah, didn't make his debut, and then didn't do the first. Like you said, the first game was a little bit slow, but then from that point onwards, he's really, really blossomed. So we've got to look at why that is. Could there be a number of reasons? We were doing this. Remember the times when we was like, oh, Lucas, we can't even have Lucas out of the team. I said it. Lucas is almost one of the first names because of the fact that he was beating players. He could beat a press. Now I look back and think, no, Lucas, the ball's going to be bouncing off his shin, bouncing off. Do you know what I mean? He never sticks with him.
Sorry, I've been saying that for months. I mean, the Brazilian footballer who needs to be done under the Trade Descriptions Act at times. The fact he can't seem to trap a ball, but he will run and run and run, and he loves the football club. And he's obviously got that night in Amsterdam, which will put him into legendary status, You know,
Yes,
as and
obviously
when.
that in itself is going to keep him in territories of high esteem for me at least. But as we were talking about, the comparison now to him and what we see in Kulusevski, I almost put that down to the fact that maybe we were just starved of quality, starved of real quality, given the fact that we had what we thought was some really talented players in the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso, Hill, Dele Alli. You could try and probably counter that, you know, and them players are now gone, some of them permanently.
I mean, Sam, what about that statistic you threw at me the other day about how Kulu's done more since the beginning of February, and take it we're only halfway through April, than Lo Celso did in 2.5 years.
I know.
Ndombele. I think he probably
it was a combination of both of them. It was a combination of both, which was an astounding, in terms of 90 minutes played and stuff.
Yeah.
It was an astounding stat. And it just shows us how much we were, I guess, wishing that we could get more out of these players. And now it's almost standard to expect one of those front three to do something in a game, which is absolutely fantastic.
And to the point that the return of Tanguy and Giovanni in the summer is a problem. We've got to move them on again, because there's no way they deserve to be near the first team given what we've got at the moment.
Well, Conte's got so much, I guess he's got some increased authority, if he didn't have it already, in terms of what he's been able to do with the players that are there, and the players that are going out, what they're doing, particularly Dele Alli, not doing anything. I know Lo Celso and Tanguy are probably, and also Hill, they've probably functioned well in what they're doing in the clubs they are, but it's not the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So again, when they come back, if they come back, would it be the same? Does Conte trust him? I'm not so sure. And that's what I want to move on to next in terms of the 3 points we're going to look at. The Conte effect. I think this has got a massive, massive factor to do with how these three are operating. The reason I say that is I initially thought when Kulusevski came in, he was talked about as being a wide player. And then there was talk about him being a number 10. And I was like, well, so where's this guy going to play? The way we were playing,
Conte even talked him up as a possible wing back.
Yeah, I forgot about
that.
I tried to get that out of my head because I wasn't sure about that. But anyway, you're right. He talked about the wing back aspect of it. But going back to the point, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from Kulusevski. I must admit, I didn't see too much of him at Juventus. Heard a few things. Young player, in and out, but again, got that sort of experience of being in a big pressure environment. Conte's now brought him to White Hart Lane. Oh,
it's always White Hart
It's always what.
It doesn't matter what label they stick on it. Old guys like me
and me,
will always call it White Hart Lane or the Lane. I'm sorry, the Amazon Arena means nothing to me. In fact, it's or whatever the Nike.
I always try to do
or whatever.
I try to stick with saying the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but you know what? Sometimes that's too long-winded. It's the Lane, isn't it? It's just the lane. Anyway, we're sidetracking.
That is Paxton Road. That is our motto. That is our manifesto. Facts. Anyone who comes on here and says anything different, you're not coming back.
Facts. So let's get back onto track, because we always do a little bit of digressing, but we don't mind a bit of digressing, especially when we're winning. It's great, that is. Anyway, coming back.
It's so good in Spurs land at the moment.
It is.
Touchwood, airy wood.
Conte effect. Obviously, a major factor in the way that the three are operating together. We've seen how Kane is doing that role of dropping in deep, and no matter how many times you see it, no matter how many times the opposition see it, they can't deal with everything. So they might operate and put somebody directly on Kane. They might do something like try and get two players to get to Son very quickly. They might try and isolate Kulusevski, keep him onto his right foot, blah blah blah. But we've seen now that there's so many different aspects of how these players can get into transitions and into attacking areas and not just rely on one person. I think this was the factor, going back to the point about you was making. We relied on Kane and Son so much last season and in previous seasons. We've now got a really good other outlet in Kulusevski. Tell me about Conte. Do you think this is Conte's preferred system of playing, with these two kind of like inside forwards, hybrid number 10, 8, with Kane as the, I guess, a a number 9, number 10, number 8, number 6, whatever Kane wants to do. Is this down to Conte in terms of how well these guys are actually doing?
Well, I mean, you've got to say it's got to have a majority impact, hasn't it? I mean, he's picked players for the formation he wants to work with. You know that I, along with Darius, want to play 3-5-2, but you know Conte wants to play 3-4-3, and you know I'm just a punter that turns up to the games. You know, watches. Conte lives and breathes the whole football thing. He knows everything. You know, he's just an. I mean, just look at. I mean, I know I'm slightly digressing here, but Conte allows you to do it. Remember when that quote that's really sticking with me at the moment is Conte said, "If I have a 1% chance of something, I'm gonna go for it. A 1% chance," and that probably was the top 4 not long ago. You know, even post the arrival of the 2 guys, we've had some pretty ropey results as well. No, you know, we don't want to talk about the Middlesbroughs or the Burnleys, whatever. But
we don't want to go too far back.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Conte has cemented together, and what he's instilled in as we go forward. I mean, who would have thought Emerson Royal would score a goal for Tottenham Hotspur in the Conte wing back? But that's what these front 3 do, because people are so concerned about what we're going to do about Son, what we're going to do about Kane. Our fullbacks are getting forward and scoring.
Exactly.
Ben Davies scores a header.
Is allowing all of these.
It's just not those 3. It's what they allow the rest of the team to do, which makes them even better.
Has Conte done something with the mentality side of the players now? To me, I look at, and again, I go back to the game at the weekend where, you know, when you're getting tackles thrown at you like that away from home, it's very easy for players to kind of shrink. You know what? I don't fancy it today. This lot are, you know what I mean? They're coming in. It's nasty tackles. Some of them are quite fair, but very much on the edge of, you know what I mean, the spectrum of inside legality. But some of them were over, and the referee wasn't great. Let's not even talk about that. I thought the referee was shocking. But my point going back to it is, you know, these guys, a couple of years ago, away to Aston Villa, knowing that we had to win the game, to start off like that, I could have seen Aston Villa easily getting back into that game and probably even winning that half. But there's a robustness about the players now that I like and I've seen, and that was proven by some of the tackles. And, you know what I mean? Doherty had that tackle, wanted to play on. We all know his injury now, but you know what I'm saying? That's got to be the manager's effect, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, even more. He's exactly, Conte has got into the heads of these players. But you know what really gets into the head of the players, and you know, I'll hark back to Pochettino, is winning games. When we start winning games, they see that what they're doing on us, you know, Monday to Friday in Enfield is it's working. I mean, training against cones, you know, or training against these mannequins, you know, repeating it again and again and again until it's, you know, it just looks so natural now. I mean, that goal that started in our corner, where even, you know, Royale, the triangles that came out, you know, and then Son running to the wing, it was just beautiful to see. And that is Conte's way of playing. But it's because the players believe. They see the results. They're winning games.
Yeah. And Conte mentioned that a number of times in the post-matches. Since we've had these, almost like it was like that sea change. Remember when he kind of had that mini meltdown where the game, it was the Burnley game, I think.
It was the Burnley game, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Here we
Toys
go.
out the pram, yeah.
We've now got to come in. Here we go. Here we go. As
always, my goodness.
Jesus Christ.
I'm here.
In the house.
Oh, no. He's completed his policy.
Yeah, mate.
It's
mention a policy live, just in case.
I didn't even get to see what that was because I saw a message. I thought, I've got no time. So let's go into that later on. Anyway, welcome in the house. He needs no introduction, was what I was going to say. Mike-Hotspur Hustler, Paxton Road, Supremo. How are you doing, Mike?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Good. Well, we are partway through it, but we're obviously still discussing. As you know, there's the show about Kulu Son, the best in the Premiership, ? So people don't lose their minds. We're now on to the Conte effect. Sean was saying about, Conte's, galvanize these guys. He's got these guys playing. He's, got them patterns are developing in terms of, not just attacking through the front players. We've got wing backs coming into play. We've even got centre backs, joining in. I've seen Ben Davis in the box a number of times. Romero getting into the box. It's a madness in terms of the pattern. The Conte ball is in full effect.
I watched Stephen
100%
Bergwijn's goal against Newcastle. And Eric Dyer was almost the first to congratulate him and say, "What the hell is Eric Dyer doing up there?"
It's madness, but
it is a madness. Good madness.
It's good madness. But going back to it, Conte's obviously got these patterns which has been developing over the time he's had on the training ground, and he's mentioned that, and we've talked about that already. But Mike, just on that, in terms of what you see on the front three, what is it about the front three that Conte's seen in them? Obviously, I know the obvious things are going to be goals and assists. But if you look back, and I was saying this to Sean earlier, when we had Lucas Moura, it was almost to the point where Lucas Moura was one of the first names on the team sheet. Then we fast forward a few months, we've got, Kulusevski in. I'm not so sure about Lucas Moura anymore, particularly with trapping the balls, trapping bags of cement. What has Conte been able to create from the front three to make them gel so well?
It's a good question. I think it's a case of Kulu. It almost feels like Kulu knows what is required in that formation, and when you look at it, he does seem like a natural. He does look like a natural forward on the. Well, he's playing it out on the right at the moment, even though he's left-footed. But I think he has more of an impact out on the flanks than what Moura does. I don't think Moura has that impact on the flanks so much as to what he does centrally.
Brilliant point, that is.
And I think Moura has more of an effect when he's playing playing centrally, because I don't know, people may have different opinions of this, but I think Lucas, he can turn when he's got a back to a player. He just doesn't always happen. I know his touch can be a little bit off and stuff, but when he's on it, he can turn a player for fun. He does lead when he's on it, but he does go down. Sometimes it does lead to dead ends and blind alleys or whatever. But Kulu, I think, has got a better football brain on his shoulders. He comes across as having a more intelligent football brain than perhaps Lucas does. I think his runs are more intelligent. What I do think they both share the same sort of effort levels, if that's the right word, whereby they will both backtrack and help out at the back.
What do you think about the pace? But I was just going to ask that, because I initially thought that Kulu wasn't that pacey, but I've seen him recently and he's got pace. Don't get me wrong, he's no Mbappe. And I always use that as a comparison to kind of judge real pace, but he's not a slouch. Now, again, that I thought might have been a bit more to Lucas's advantage because he has got direct pace. But I don't think there's much in it, if I'm honest with you.
I don't know. I reckon if you got them two to do a 100-meter sprint, I reckon Lucas would probably beat him hands down. But
hands down,
yeah, I don't think you're going to beat Lucas Moura in a race. I think Kulu's what would you say he is? 6'2", 6'3", perhaps. He's a bit of a unit. There's no way he's beating the Brazilian Lucas in a 100-meter sprint, mate. No way on life's earth. I'd put money on it.
I would like to. You know what?
Put a wager on it.
I'd like this bet because I'm thinking.
I think we should be tweeting at Spurs admin.
You know what I mean? Because I could have some money here because I think there's a sneaky suspicion that we're kind of misjudging his actual. And I did it with Kane. What I've said about Kane recently, and we alluded to it. Kane looks like he's got that more athletic physique. You can see it in his face. He's lost weight. He's trimmed down, and his pace is gained because of it. Now, nobody used to say that Kane was he's blistering. But I tell you what, he's getting away from players.
I think if you looked at the whole that Spurs squad, they all look slimmer.
Mm.
You look at Eric Dyer, he doesn't look. He looks relatively sort of slimmer. He looks like they all look like they've lost a little bit of weight, which is probably what they need to in order to have the required fitness levels to play at the tempo, to play the formation, the philosophy, etc., that Conte wants, and to play that 3-4-3. It's quite a demanding formation physically. So for those players to, and this is what might have taken a little while for things to click with Spurs, insofar as perhaps the players' fitness levels weren't at that required level to be able to sort of hit the ground running with what Conte wants, which might reflect in some of the results that we'd seen. But they do look now. They look fit. The whole squad looks fit. But in terms of the front three, I just think it's a case that Kulu. I just think it just seems like he knows exactly what's required of him. He knows. Sometimes in football, even though you've not played with them, even though you've had no dealings with other players, sometimes you just connect instantly. And at the moment, it's almost like Kulu's playing as if he's always played with Son and Kane, which to get that instant connection with 12 forwards, I think that's a rarity. It's something you have to build up to. And
well, I was going to say we're going to get into some characteristics about that because I think there's some good reasons why I think he has gelled the way he has. But we'll get into that after. But yeah, continue on, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think he's playing. It's almost like when Bale was playing for Spurs when he was out right, and there was where. I suppose where Lucas Moura, he's not going to, if he's playing out on the right, he's going to tend to probably hit that flank. And you know what way he's going to go? He's just going to go direct and then try. If he's got Kane and Son, he's going to try and hit the byline and put a cross in. And which normally, when you watch him, that is kind of what he does. Whereas Kulu, he will cut in, and you've seen it where he does cut in, and he's made, well, you saw it on Sunday where he cut in and the flick on from Kane and he's put the ball in the back of the net. But Kulu can hit the ball with his right foot because I think was it against who was it? Who was it who put that ball into the box of Son? I can't think of the team we played before.
Against who?
Where Kane hit the... I can't think of who... Kulu set up Son for one of the goals prior to last week where...
they scored so many, I can't keep up.
He hit the flank and he's put the ball into the box with his right foot and Son's trapped the ball.
Oh, that was first
Newcastle, there you go. So Kulu has got it in him whereby... And he saw it look up and he knew exactly what he wanted to do and he was able to do it with his weak foot. I just think Kulu's a bit of an unknown quantity in many sense, and that might be why he started off so well. People like defenders and opposition don't really know what he's about, what he can and can't do, what his weaknesses are. So yeah, it just seems like he's played this formation. He just seems to know what's required of him, and I think that's largely helped him sort of hit the ground running.
Well, we'll look at the characteristics. I think that will definitely bring it out.
Sam, it's interesting.
Yeah, go on.
That Mike brought Bale into the equation there because I was just thinking that when this is another tangential thing, but he was like this. We used to sing about Bale born to play for Spurs. Kulusevski seems to have just come in. He's fallen in love with the club. He loves the fact that the fans have embraced him with that mad song. Which is a banger, by the way, as a terrorist song. And when you feel happy and wanted where you're working, doesn't matter what job you're doing, you play out your skin. And I think there's an element of that about it. And
being an unknown quantity, I think I look at it right. When we were looking at Adama Traore, we'd seen him. I knew what his characteristics were. I knew what kind of player we were likely to get, and I didn't want him for the position that Spurs wanted him in as this makeshift right wing back. I wasn't quite sure if them numbers which weren't there were going to do anything for us. I didn't know too much about Kulusevski, but now if we look at some of the other points in terms of the characteristics, this is what I wanted to kind of touch on as the reason why because I think developing this guy, he's 21 years of age. I think that goes a little bit under the radar because we see what he's doing, we see the maturity in him, and we see how he's playing with arguably two of the best players in the Premier League in Son and Kane. But they're 28, 29, and 30 respectively. This guy's 21 and coming and playing with the likes of those guys and looking on their level in terms of the way that they're playing the game. Now, how does Conte then develop Kulusevski going forward? Because characteristically, I think he's got everything in his game to play across any of those positions in the front three. If I'm honest with you, he's got that height, he's got that robustness to play as a number 9. He looks, and obviously we can see he can play from that right-hand side, cut in. He's got an ability to be on the ball in that number 10 because they're playing this hybrid 10/8. So how do you see, Sean, with all them characteristics that we know we've got, and the mentality? I think mentality is important as well. How do you see his future, his role developing at the club as he gets older in his development?
Well, I just think he's going to, as you say, he'll play anywhere across the front of the attack. He's, as Potomac's saying, he's proving that inverted wingers work. And I think, Conte has obviously had some insight into this player. I don't know whether they crossed paths. I think they might not have crossed paths at Juventus, but they certainly knew each other. I know that Kulu was out on loan at one point, but I mean, it's just the due diligence that's gone on. It's the background. We can't underestimate the idea that this is a guy who at a very young age left his home country, went to Italy, was schooled in the culture of Juve. I don't like Juve as a football team. There's a whole history there, particularly with my favourite team in Italy, which is Roma. But they are a successful team. And they do. They invest in the best. They've probably got it a bit wrong in the last few years, but I can see Conte being the right conduit to develop Kulu. What he's going to do with him, I don't know. I mean, he's certainly hit the road running, hasn't he?
Yeah. And one of the things, before I come to you, Mike, one of the things I think in terms of where I rank it, and I probably rank it very high on my list of things that I look for in characteristics of players, football intelligence. I can sit here quite easily and say that the level of football intelligence in Lucas Moura compared to Kulusevski is different, because what I see with Lucas Moura doing, he's doing the same things all the time. I see him now. He almost doesn't look like he knows what he's doing at times, so defenders don't. But when you do actually know what he's doing, if you were any sort of decent defender, just give him a little bit of space, isolate him on his left foot, and I don't think Lucas Moura does too much, particularly in them wide areas. You can force him into areas of the pitch, which is what happened a lot of the time. Football intelligence allows you to, okay, I've seen that happen. I'm now going to, as what Kane's doing, right, he's developed his game. But even now, when players go to mark him, the football intelligence of Son and Kulusevski goes, I know what the brilliance of that man is. I'm going on my bike, but I'm timing my runs and making runs in such a way I'm going to stay on side. The amount of times Lucas Moura used to make runs and be off, I was like, oh my God, this guy. So when you played him in the 10, he wasn't getting a get offside as much, so he could run through. Football intelligence is high on the list. Is that one of the reasons why you think that these players, because I think the front three of all our players have that in abundance: Son, Kane, and Kulusevski.
Yeah, I do. I think the intelligence levels. Let's go. When you look at Kulu, when he was playing at Juventus, he was playing out on that right flank anyway, wasn't he? When he was getting the opportunity to play, so it's not like he's being asked to do something or play in a position that he hasn't played already, if that makes sense. I think Juventus probably played more of, I think it's like more of like a 4-4-2 when, well, certainly in the games that Kulu's played in, it looked like they were doing a 4-4-2 sort of thing. But But the intelligence levels, I agree. I don't think we've seen everything that Kulu can do, because I know he can play in just behind the strikers, which we haven't seen. We haven't played the formation where that would really allow him to do. But I honestly think the intelligence, because like you said, like with Lucas, you know what he's going to do. If the ball comes to him, he's got back to his backs to the opposition. You know what he's going to do. He's going to try and turn the player, and then 9 times out of 10, he'll go down a blind alley, which will lead to nothing. And then
Just
on
give him some
occasion,
space. That's all you got to do with Lucas Moura. Drop off,
just
give him a
run
little
with
bit of
him.
space. He's jinking. At some point, he's going to have a touch and just get the tap. Good defenders will know how to defend against. That's why he's not a worldie. Otherwise, Lucas Moura, in terms of that ability to do that, the Messi kind of runs, he'd be a worldie. He's
100%. But that's the thing, like with Luca, with Kulu being I think Postmac mentioned it, being an inverted winger. We have seen Kulu use his right foot. He got an assist with his right foot for Son against Newcastle, so he has got it in him to put a ball in the box, which he drilled it across to Son in that Newcastle game. So he has got it in him to use his right foot, albeit he's probably considerably much weaker than he's left. But I think I'd be interested to see what he would be like if he was playing centrally behind the. Again, I doubt we're going to see this formation, but if he was playing behind, say, Son and Kane with Kulu, as I say, with Kulu in that sort of like almost number 10 type role, I'd be interested to see how that would work. But you can't change a winning team or winning formation, so I can't see that happening now. Why would you? When things are going so well, you wouldn't change anything really. So,
no. And this is what's happened with Arsenal. When you try and take too many players out of positions just to cover another position, you kind of weaken your whole team rather than just that position. So this is what I wanted to pose, and again, things come to my head as I think about it, and it's prompted by Potomac here. Perhaps watching Kulu without Son and Kane will give us a different perspective, good and bad, which is a fair point. I would like to know now, if Kane was out the team, and I'll ask you this, Sean, firstly, because I know you really like Steven Bergwijn, would there not be a temptation to maybe play Kulusevski down the middle in the Kane role and maybe play somebody else in that wide area? And I'm going back to that point. Taking Kane out of our team is not a good thing in any way, shape or form. Don't get me wrong. But the replacement for him, I would have said naturally may have been Bergwijn, but he's obviously got different characteristics. He likes to stretch opposition, likes to go the other way. Whereas what I've seen in Kulusevski, he can do similar types of things to what Kane can do in terms of picking that ball at, because his assists show us that. His assist records show that he's looking to play in players. Do you think that would be an option for us if Kane was out, playing Kulusevski down the middle?
Yeah, I do think it would be an option, yeah. The only thing, I'm not too sure on Kulusevski's heading ability. I don't think he would be in the same class as Kane you just look at that headed pass for Son's goal at the weekend. There's nothing Kulusevski has shown me so far that says he could do something like that. But I'm prepared to be surprised by this guy. This guy's gone. I've just been reading his Wikipedia, and he's gone through quite an incredible development. He actually went to Atlanta first when he went to Italy. So he's been through Atlanta and Juve, two of the top performing teams in Italy at this stage. So he's had a good finishing skill, if you think about it. So he's developed, the intelligence that you were alluding to, Sam. I love Bergwijn, and I would love anything to shoehorn into the team, but you can't change the current purple patch that this front three is doing, and it's dragging us into possibly the Champions League.
Along with our manager, let's not forget.
Yeah, our manager's had an effect, yes, certainly. And we might even have to say our somewhat under a cloud sporting director as well, who actually got the player, you know what I mean? So alluding to some kind of difficulty in Italy at the moment. But anyway, I do think that is an option,
Do you think that's an option?
The Son in the past has stepped
I was going to
up.
say, and that's what I was going to ask Mike. Would you?
I don't want to turn this into the Kulu show.
No, but would you? I just think because of his height, I just see that maybe I'm just envisioning he's got aerial ability without knowing if he's got aerial ability.
He should have at 6 foot, whatever it is. He should have ahead of him.
I think that. But then we've seen some of our players in our defense can't, and they're 6 foot plus. Anyway, let's get back. Putting Son there, we've seen that can work. But I guess I look at Kulu's athleticism, I look at his physicalities, and obviously the other characteristic, his intelligence, that he could play that role and be more of a target man than someone like Son, who we all know likes to run in behind. We all know likes to stretch defenses, but as a target person, isn't probably the most physical. And I've seen when he has to do that, he can get bullied a little bit, as we've probably seen. Mike, do you think that going forward then, that if we did have something to happen to Kane, that you'd make, who would you, put it another way, who would you play up front if Kane wasn't playing at this moment in time?
Bergwijn.
Interesting.
I wouldn't play Kulu essentially like as a number 9 essentially. I'd rather. I think from what I've seen of him, I think he'd play better on either flank. Obviously, left footed. We haven't seen him play on the left flank for Spurs, but I'm assuming being left footed, it shouldn't be an issue. We know he can play on the right flank, so that doesn't need to be. Nothing more needs to be said on that. But in terms essentially, from what I've seen so far this season, and like internationally as well as for Spurs, I'd have Bergwijn because of what he offers us, which Kane doesn't, is that blistering pace. And to me, that pace as a number 9 is would be more of a weapon or an asset rather than having Kulu, who isn't going to have the pace. He's going to be a bit essentially. I say he'd probably be a bit like a Harry Kane in terms of the lack of pace as such. And he's also very left-footed. He's very, very left-footed. So he hasn't got that. He won't have that vision of being able to.
Let me add this then, just to that bit about the pace bit, because this is how I think things are going to develop for us going forward. Teams are going to drop more and more, particularly when we play at home, and that space isn't going to be behind as much. So someone like Steven Bergwijn, again, is he robust enough to have his back to goal and do it that way because he hasn't got the space to run him behind? That's where I think Son would fall down more than often than not. But you can play a different way with Harry Kane if defenses do that. We've seen we can cross the balls in, but Harry Kane's got a unique ability. I'm trying to find that unique ability where a team that might decide to drop off, leave no space behind.
Well, would you rather have? Would you rather have pace running at you or pace running off the back, off your back? Essentially, that's the difference. What you're saying, because what we're saying is, if the teams are dropping back, then Bergwijn, a defender doesn't want someone running at, and then that's quick. It's just a bloody defender's nightmare.
Quick feet as well, such quick feet. I mean,
who Bergwijn?
Bergwijn. Yeah. I mean, his ability to manipulate a ball at pace is incredible. I mean, I still go back to that Wolves league game at the beginning of the season under Nuno, and probably the thing that's made me most stand up was that how Bergwijn got away on that corner on the sideline.
Yeah,
I mean that was balling. That was just incredible, and he's got that in him. And Conte has said so. He's got something that I don't have in the rest of the squad, and I know he wants
that killer pace.
And ball control. 1v1.
Jamie Vardy, great example. We all know Jamie Vardy is flying fast. Even now at his age, you leave him space, you're asking for trouble. So you don't leave him space. Jamie Vardy's hold-up play is decent because he's obviously played at England level, but I wouldn't say his hold-up play would get him into the Leicester team more often than not over someone else that has more of that ability. So Steven Bergwijn, for me, would have to show me that he can do more than just have a runner behind. Like you were saying, Sean, he's got good feet. I think that's right. I don't know what his aerial ability is like. I don't know what his back to play like is long-term when teams are going to get physical on you. Ivan Toney, you would probably put him in that, he's robust. He could do well in the air. He's got a bit of pace. So you need a little bit of everything, I think, if you're going to play as number 9, where different teams are doing different things. I think Kulusevski has more of those different things than maybe Steven Bergwijn. But I agree with you. if you're just looking at raw pace and maybe trickery, he's got it all day, in my opinion. I just don't know. I don't know is the answer. But
I mean, if we're on characteristics as well, I mean, I want to move it on a wee bit. Is talk about Son, because I know I've had my critique of Son, and certain people have picked me apart statistically, and that's every right to do that. But one thing I've noticed in the recent weeks is how much more confident one-on-one Son is now. And that was one thing I was, if you think to the first goal against Man City away at the Etihad, Son was one-on-one with the keeper. When he was on his game, he would think nothing about going round the keeper and putting the ball in the back of the net. But he chose to pass it to Kulusevski. He chose to do that. I mean, he also incurred a penalty-winning challenge, but it didn't matter because Kulusevski nutmegged Cancelo and we went 1-up. But I think that's, we talk about characteristics that could be developed. I'm wondering whether that's something Conte has done as well. Just in this last wee while, you can see that Son is, to me,
he's confident now.
He's peaked Son again, and he's, he doesn't think about it. I'm going to score. I mean, the way he took that second goal, with the, that incredible header by Kane, which I think we should talk about on a night like this. We're going to talk about our front three. Was just, he never thought about anything else. I know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to score. He just didn't blink.
Yeah.
Scored
and when Son's confident, he's going to put the ball in the back of the net. 9 times out of 10, that ball's in the back of the net. And when he went through at the weekend for his second, I think it was, it was never in doubt in my mind. I was like, Son in the form that he's in now. And I know there's statistics and stuff that Son's been playing the best that he's ever done throughout his career or whatever in the Premier League, but he hasn't been as confident as he has been recently. And the fact the volume of goals that he's scored or has been scoring the last few weeks, and the way he's taking his goals suggests that he does look like a player that's
he's a good bet for the golden boot, the way he's going.
Definitely.
Salah has stood still in terms of goal contributions. Son is scoring them, for fun.
You wouldn't play Son to get the best out of Son. You're not going to play him in the number 9. You're not going to play him. I don't know what he'd be like if he was playing out wide on the right, but play him to his strengths, which is on that left, and you'll get the best out of Son.
You maybe need to pack the midfield a bit more for Son to play up front. Yeah, maybe a 3 in the middle. Yeah,
I mean, we saw it against Man City, and we got that 1-0 win against them with Son, Bergwijn, and was it Lucas Moura? But we were lucky there, really. And those three they just wouldn't work permanently throughout the whole season. I just don't think it would work.
Well, under Conte,
listen about Son though. Going back, this is all those players have got assists. You just got to look at the types of assists they've got. I look at Kane and Kulusevski. They've got the type of assists, and not all of them, but obviously there's some that have got more of that, almost like a threaded through ball. That's sort of like seeing that pass. Son has more assists where he's used his pace, he's got by, he's crossing things in. Do you know what I mean? He's not got that sort of like threaded ball type of, you know what I mean? That number 10. Whereas I think, and I've seen a couple of situations where Kulusevski's looked to play that type of pass. We all know that Harry Kane can do that. His range of passing, long and short, is phenomenal. But I don't see as much of that passing range with someone like Son. He's got other characteristics which makes him a number 9 of quality in terms of stretching defenses and, getting in that 1v1 situation, jinking left, hitting a shot of either foot. That's his ability.
But as a number 9, you don't want them being. Let's put it in an ideal world, in a perfect world, we would have someone in our midfield who would be doing what Kane seems to keep doing for us at Pro.
Agreed.
And this is why I don't think Kulu. Why would we need Kulu doing that? Ideally, if you've got a number 9, you want that number 9 playing as far forward as possible, which is what I think, and why I think Bergwijn would be a better option as a number 9 than say.
But don't you think football's slightly changed in terms of you need to be more adaptable? And I'll say that, and we'll get on to the last point, which will be about the comparisons. Your front three having the adaptability to change and interchange the position, so you're not just reliant on let's say we had a Chris Wood you're not going to play Chris Wood on the wing. He's going to be shit. You're probably not going to play Chris Wood as a number 10 because he's probably not got the ability to do that. So you're only going to play him as a striker. Whereas now, the way I look at our front, again, you maybe think to yourself, Harry Kane's not going to play wide. But he operates he does operate everywhere on the pitch. So again, look at the crosses he's put in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if Harry Kane just got isolated, I don't know.
If you're going to have interchanging, it's going to be the two flanks because Kane's not. What's the point of putting Kane out? I know the argument is it doesn't matter where Kane is; he's going to be able to pick you out. But really and truly, to have Kane as a more sort of more of a dangerous weapon, if that's the right word, for us to be having him is to play him centrally where he'll have more effect on the game. Out wide, he's just wasted. And this is why I think Kulu and Son could probably interchange if they haven't been doing. And that would probably work because Kulu's left-footed, Son can use both feet, and it would probably work. And I get the whole sort of the dynamics of, well, the front three need to be adaptable in changing across, being interchanging, but it's just you're never going to put Kane out on the flanks just for those exact reasons I just mentioned. To get the best out of him, keep him centrally. I would rather, instead of Kane going out on the flanks, I'd rather him just drop in and be the fourth midfield man and sort of spray passes to either Kulu or Son if that was the case.
I think maybe I've lost my point a little bit. I don't think you could isolate Kane as a wide man. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that's wise. I don't think that would work. But when I mean interchange, what I've said is you can sometimes have them play in those positions. So as opposed to them staying out in those, Son on the left, Kane in the middle, Kulu on the right, if Kulu sometimes drifts in, Kane can operate wide because if he gets the ball wide,
I get what you're saying. I do get.
He's crossing that ball in, and we've seen he creates in wide areas, but not to stay out on the. I'm not saying he's a.
No, I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying that interchange, but I just don't think the interchanging thing. With the two flanks, I get it. Right, with the two boys out on the flanks, I agree that would work. Why wouldn't it? Kulu's naturally left-footed, and Son can naturally play out on the right because he can kick the ball with both feet. But the whole interchanging, I just don't think it would work with Kane. I just think if Kane's just got to be Kane and stay in the middle. But
I agree.
I think he should be playing further forward. I think he should be playing further forward than what he is.
Conte thinks that, to be fair, doesn't he? Conte has said that in his last few weeks.
Okay.
I want, that's why he lets Kane stay on to the end of the game because he wants him scoring goals. And he only scores goals if he's getting in the box or he's been lined up with his howitzers from the edge of the box, a la Crystal Palace last season, that curling shot. I'm still seeing it now, But I mean, Kane, what a player. We have been spoiled.
You can't.
We have been spoiled. I mean, I interrupted a Twitter conversation between Danny Baker and Paul Newman, who's a Daily Mail cricket correspondent today, but big Spurs fan.
Yeah.
And he was saying he was introducing a player who I have a great deal of love for, the age that I am. Alan Gilzean could have done that header. And I cheekily interrupted and brought, James Morgan that wrote the book about Gilzean into the conversation because I do think we Gilzean could have does do the things that Kane did. It's just Kane has got the numbers, he's got the stats, and as I say, he's
world class, isn't he? Like
it is. I mean, I never thought I'd see a player better than Glenn Hoddle in a white shirt.
Both me and Mike did the same thing.
I'm happy to put. Here.
Hold on, let me finish here. My goodness.
when we play this back,
you're seeing a player
you're getting
who is reaching those kinds of levels.
Okay. Because if you watch this back, both me and Mike at the same time went ooh, like that.
I saw that. Yeah, you never let me. Oh dear, oh
Hoddle.
dear. It's cancel culture. These are
It
you're my
definitely is.
friends.
You can't mention words like Glenn Hoddle to me because that's one of the
Hey, I
reasons
just
why
ordered a big picture of him today, a signed picture of him. So
one of the
you
reasons why I
go
support
there.
Spurs from when I was like 7, 8 years old
Oh.
and I saw him play. That's one of the reasons why I support Spurs because that guy. Anyway, that's not the show we're doing tonight.
No,
if we want to do if we do a nostalgic one, we might have to look.
We do need to appreciate the players in our history, and Paul Newman was right to introduce
100%.
Gilazine into the mix. Certainly with using his head. Yeah,
I definitely agree.
What Spurs have to do though, they have to sign Kulu down because he's not on a permanent, is he? He's on a loan deal to the end of the season, isn't he?
And I think
they're going to do it. I mean, all the
have
things
to.
are going to be done. It's going to be done.
Initially,
he loves it. He knows he's fated by the fans. We've fallen in love with the guy.
So before he came, and said he came and was like, before we've got anywhere near what we've got now, the price tag is what? I think it's 29 million to sign him permanently. Do you think at that time it was? I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. Now it's like bloody hell. You better sign that deal quick. The age he is, what he's already produced, we have to get that guy signed. Because even if it wasn't to develop into the amazing thing that we think it might be a Gareth Bale situation, he's 21 years of age. Mm-hmm. In 3 years' time, he's only 24.
Thing is, I think he was at Parma before, wasn't he? And he, on a loan from, I think it was from Juventus. He was good. Like I only saw, I think it was there was a couple of games, and I knew a little bit about Kulu. I didn't know anything about MisterK. I hadn't even heard of him until he was sort of brought into the mix. And if you see, Zlatan actually said that this guy, as in Kulu, is the best thing that's come out of Sweden. He said he's
after me.
Was it? I didn't know. What
yeah,
at the end.
he kind of
After
indicated,
him,
yeah.
And that doesn't surprise
my
me.
heir apparent, I think he was saying, yeah.
But he did say that the Kulu he's the real deal. And for Zlatan to say something like that, I think you need to. You have to. It makes you stand up and take notice.
The thing is, think Levy thinking turning a coin on him. You know, we have him for 3 or 4 years, and then what's his value going to be?
Imagine what he'd be like in 3 or 4 years if he's develops at the rate he is.
It's a no-brainer.
Why would you get rid of him? You wouldn't get rid of him.
Listen, I'm sure that money's already set aside.
I hope so. It's the same with Romero. We've got to sign Romero as a perm.
Has to be. There's players that are absolutely terrible going at 30 million these days. So 30 million is nothing in the grand scheme of things for a player of his age.
We've already paid 10, haven't we?
Do you know what I mean? It's nothing. And I'd say that with a little bit of tongue in cheek because obviously 29 million is not nothing. But in the grand scheme of football money for a player who's 21 who could develop into a worldie, let's use it loosely, but could develop into a worldie. 30 million as a gamble is not a lot of money to pay. I don't think anyway.
Given how much we spent on Tanguy and Gio.
Well, hopefully Villarreal going to take Lo Celso off our hands. That might give us some money because obviously Kulu and Romero, I think that's going to take out the best part of 70 odd million. I hope Levy's digging in because
we need a full season of receipts this year, so he should have.
He's got a lot of receipts.
We need the back line and the midfield to be as good as that front line because that front line, there isn't many. I can't think of another front line that's as good as, or that is in as rich form as those three right now.
Yeah. Why are you going ahead? Why are you going ahead of the show? Why are you both going ahead of the show, man?
He pulled himself back there from the brink, did he not?
Come on, man. I'm trying to get the stage, and Mike's already going on to the next part of the show already.
Anyway, let's answer that. Who would you play right wing back against Brighton?
One word answers for this. I'm going to start first. Royal, Emerson, Mike.
Yeah, 100% the same. Yeah.
Controversial. I don't like him. He's not. I don't like him. He's not my favourite player. I would play Lucas.
Ooh, again, another big call. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about
that. What are you doing to us today?
I'll have to see that in action. Ooh, that's enough. I'm
not about that life. I'm not about that life.
I see that in pre-season. I see that in pre-season. I don't want to see it against Brighton. I want us to make sure we beat Brighton. Anyway, comparisons. Mike was already.
Have you picked Royal?
He hasn't played that bad though. The last half a dozen games, he's been all right. I think
he's been all right. He started the last 3 games. Come on now, he's been all right. I know he's not the best, but let's leave that because that's another show again. Right, comparisons. Mike was alluding to it. At this moment in time, if you go by the start of the year to now, in terms of numbers, in terms of stats, the highest scoring team in the Premiership, the highest scoring trio in terms of any trio of any players within a team is what we have. I counted them up. It was 37 goal involvements in terms of goals and assists, just so that Mike is aware of it. Kulusevski, since the turn of year, remember, he's only been with us since February. He wasn't here at the beginning of January, but this is since the turn of year. 3 goals, 6 assists in the Premier League. Kane has 8 goals, 7 assists, and Son has 9 goals and 4 assists. 37 goal involvements for the both of them as a trio. Who's better than them at this moment in time? Is there any better, Mike?
Well, the front 3 that I'm probably going to say, which they're not in as good as form. I don't, and I think the stats probably back up. They're not in as good as form as our front 3, but it would be Liverpool's front 3.
But
Man City's.
Well, we and Sean was kind of talking off camera.
Don't have a front 3 per se.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But I'm saying about Liverpool now. If we're going to compare their front 3 as Firmino, Salah, and Mane, then that's a dark. But they've got Jota to come in sometimes, Diaz, and again because they're not reliant as much, I guess, on their front 3 as we have. We need a bit more depth. But if I just look at Firmino, Mane, and Salah in their prime, are these guys as good as that?
I wouldn't swap. Me personally, I wouldn't swap Kane or Son for any of those front 3. However, the argument would be you'd swap Salah probably for Kulu, and that'd be your front 3: Salah, Kane, and Son.
I was going to say exactly the same. If that's how I would do it. Choose your front 3. Who would you put in your front 3? I'd have Son, Kane, and Salah. Yeah. Sean, what's your thoughts in terms of comparisons? Do you think that this front 3 is comparable to the Liverpool front 3 of Salah, Mane, and Kane? And if so, are they on that same sort of level?
I would say they're getting there. We've had a purple patch. Given that they've only been here since February, and we've had some pretty ropey results in the early parts of February, I'd have Kane in above everyone. I think you dismissed Mane. I just think Mane's class.
No, I'm not dismissing him. I'm not
dismissing
saying.
him either.
Give me a choice. It's a close
Mane and Salah are better than Kulu at this moment, I'd say.
But when Mane was playing on the left, because obviously Salah plays on the right, Firmino was like they're floating false now, whatever you want to call him. As a direct comparison,
I think they're getting there, and they've had performances which is on a par with them. But I think it's still they're in the foothills. They're not scaled the peaks yet.
But who would you have if you had to choose one? So you'd have Kane, obviously, as the number 9. Firmino, he's not anywhere near on Kane's level. Would you have Son or would you have Mane on the left? You got to choose one.
He's a hard man. He's a hard man, is Mike today.
And he turned up late, cheeky bugger.
Come on, Sean. Don't do it. No fence sitting here.
We don't fence it here.
No, I would. Yeah, Son.
Of course you would.
Son, yeah.
Of course you would.
Because I love Son, and because I know that Judge Jodi would she wouldn't even put me on court. She'd just have me summary executed in the street out there, you know.
And Son's a better player than Mane. Mane's good. Mane's very good.
No, Mane's a quality act.
He is.
He was
he
so
is, but he's not better than Son.
Pochettino was gutted that we didn't get him.
I would have loved to have Mane at our club. Don't get me wrong.
Oh God, yeah.
I would love to have him at our club. And imagine that competition between Mane and Son is what you'd want. But you'd probably you'd want to get them both in the team at the same time. But that would be a great problem for any manager to have, because I really like Mane. I'm like you.
Well, we want to compete for everything next season. We're in the Champions League. There's not.
But
Let's not
it's a
hex
waste,
it.
isn't it? Though
We'd want a squad where you can bring, like City do. They can bring players off the bench who are game changers.
Ooh, here we go. Now we've gone and done it now. Tricky one here. Ooh, he's joining the old Sean bandwagon here. Sorry to say, but Mane before Son.
No, they're a level, but I love Son. I've got a relationship with Son. But
We're rattling him. We rattled him. We've got Son rattled. Come on, Sean. Talk to me then. I think, as you said, Son for me. I look at the characteristics again. Mane's, the pace-wise, they're very equal. I couldn't say who's quicker. Mane's very quick. Who would I trust one-on-one in front of goal? Both of them are very, very good. Are they both footed? I would say Son's probably more two-footed than Mane is. I would think. I've seen Mane score headed goals. That's how I think the difference. I haven't seen Son score too many headed goals. Mane in the air is very, very good. It's a tough one, but I probably would because of Son being Son. I'm going Son.
Yeah. And why is that? Because it's recency bias and because he's played for us since 2015. We love him.
Yeah,
we love him.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that.
And the fact is, Son goes to any of the other top rivals in the top 4, he improves those teams. He does improve those teams.
Is there any other team?
Son at Liverpool would be absolutely phenomenal. Thank God we've tied him down.
Would you say then, Mike? And we have to mention.
I mean, come on, Chelsea. Are you saying Werner's better than Son? Come on.
Well, that's hold on. Before we get on to Chelsea, let's get on to another one of our favourite teams, the Arsenal. Now, now, what I saw them lot do the other day against who was it? They lost to Brighton, by the way, who we're playing this weekend. They had Odegaard and Smith Rowe in behind Lacazette. They kind of called them 2 number 8s, and they had Lokonga as number 6. So maybe a similar type of front 3, if you want to say that. Now, is there any comparison?
In hell.
Is there any comparison?
Is there any comparison?
There's no way any of Arsenal's front 3 gets ahead of our boys.
Now,
I don't think.
Hold on.
Actually, we can play Dane Scarlett, we'd still be better than them.
Hold on a minute. Let me drag back a little bit. That was
you
the front.
Started it jumping across me.
I know. I should have done that. Right, I dragged that back. That's what they played. Now, I think that was a mistake by them in terms of where they. But if I looked at their front 3 that they could play, Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, lack of threat in the middle. But if they had a decent number 9, maybe even Pepe. Now, would that be comparable if they had them 3 forward? Because Martinelli, I really like. Saka, we obviously know England level.
You're having
their number
giraffe here, Sam. You're having a giraffe. God, you're having a man, mate. If you're on the field, I'd be hooking you off.
You're having a man, mate.
Got to make a show of it. Got to make a show of it.
I'll be replacing you with someone from our under-16s.
Got to make a show of it. Mike, go on then. Talk to me then. Go on. Off you go. I tried.
Who did you say on the left? Martinelli.
I'll just play Martinelli because Romero is going to say, you're Brazilian, you're done. Oh, God, bring on May the 12th.
Martinelli
boys, I tried. I'm trying to be as unbiased as
trying, trying, yeah.
Martinelli couldn't tie Son's shoelaces up, so there's just no comparison there. Who was it in the middle? Lack of who?
We don't even have to mention that because there is absolutely nobody in the Arsenal team as a central striker that has any comparison to our central striker. The one that they've let go anyway. So no, we don't.
The only real debate is Saka and Kulu.
That would be a talk. That would be a definite.
Saka is a. I do give it. Saka is a baller, and I do like him.
Intelligent player as well.
He is, and he's quick. And
he's 20. I think he's 20.
Yeah, 20.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Is he?
Yeah,
he's 20. I think he's just 20, turned 20 because he was.
But it's a difficult one. I don't know.
All right then. I'll do the same thing. I'll do the same thing, and you've got to answer it. Front 3. Who's it going to be?
What, between us and Arsenal?
Between those,
are you seriously asking that question?
Listen, I've got to make a show of it. Saka's the one for me where there's something in there between him and Kulu. The other two, forget it. I agree. Son, Kane, all day long. Saka, I like as a player. I do like him as a player. Kulusevski, obviously, he's our player. I'm not. Go on.
No.
I tell you what. I probably would put Saka in only because he's got more Premier League experience than Kulu.
Oh, you're just going down the homegrown route now, aren't you? That's all you're doing.
And yeah, he would boost the homegrown route.
Oh, for God's sake, that's the weakest excuse I've ever come across. Mike. Come on,
I'm not. I can't
stand by your man, Kulu.
I'm going on the basis that I think.
Listen. Let's take our Arsenal bias off. Arsenal have got some good players. They've got good players. We can do this all day. They can say the same. But I've watched some of the Arsenal shows and they know we've got some good players. They look at our front three with a lot of envy. And they've got some good players themselves. So I think it's a good argument.
I like Smith Rowe.
I like Smith Rowe. I like Martinelli as well. I've seen he's got
Smith Rowe wouldn't get into Spurs though. He'd be on the bench.
He wouldn't get in ahead of Son and nobody's getting ahead of Kane. I just think there's an argument with... You know what I mean? If Saka was available, would you put him in ahead of Kulusevski?
Yeah. On the form, if we're going on form right now, no.
Exactly.
If we're going on form right now...
Stand by your man.
Long term, put some future glasses on. Future glasses.
My glasses are perfect, mate. Saka's a good player. I would have him in my squad, but he's not getting ahead of Kulu. Not in current form.
I can feel another Partey. What was the thing we did? Partey and Ndombele debate. It could be a Kulusevski Saka one. We might have to look at that in the summertime or something. That will be interesting. It's a close one. I'm not... Listen, they're both very young.
I'm not denying it's close. Yeah, it's close. But
they're very young.
I've got to stand by my
if we're going on form right now, I would have Kulu over Saka. Saka doesn't... To be fair, the downfall for Saka is he doesn't score enough.
Alex Hilton's saying.
Hilton, now you're talking about
Bergwijn over Saka. Whoa, Alexander Hilton. I have to say your name out.
Yes, my son. You're
Jesus,
and you know you are.
Saying he's talking chest high. Alexander Hilton. Welcome to the stream. Woof. Oh, I don't know about that one, but
I'm not sure about that one either, but
it's a good one. But no, I do think we should have something on that Kulusevski Saka debate. Maybe even have them Arsenal boys on to have a bit of a discussion. We know it will turn into a bit of a, well, our boys better, your boys not, yeah. But anyway, I think if we look at it logically, it's not. It's a
debate. It's up for debate, that one. I don't think you'd be
given that we argued the toss about Ndombele against Partey, and Partey's like head and shoulders above him. Yeah.
Hindsight now, but again, I'm looking at.
2020, as they say, yeah.
Ndombele at Lyon is still better than Partey is for Arsenal, in my opinion. Ndombele at Spurs is shocking. That's what the difference is. He's a great player.
In terms of his for Lyon,
no, maybe not so much recently because I think he needs to recover from whatever.
He did play well. He has been playing well for Lyon, though. From what I saw,
did you see him against West Ham when he scored that goal and he picked the ball up? It looked like he was going to die before he got back to the centre back.
Let's not talk about his characteristics. But toxic headshot. He's having a bit of a smile as well here. Divine greater.
Ooh.
Divine though is quality. Alfie Divine is top notch, but.
I want someone to say White is better than Saka. Harvey White.
The only other three, the front three, comparable to I was just going to say, do Man City have a front three?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to compare.
They play a false nine, don't they? They just
and they're changing quite regularly because they've got so many players. They've got Myers, Sterling, Jack Grealish, Foden. Who else is there? They can play. Bernardo Silva if they want. They've got too many players that they can play there, so you can't really make it.
They haven't even got Jesus anymore, have they?
No, Liverpool was the one until they had the other players.
Jesus scored at the weekend.
Not for
he did.
He's
there.
I thought he'd gone to Spain.
No.
No, Ferran Torres went to Barcelona.
Oh, Torres, that's right. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry.
I think
Hey, toxic headshot.
I think
Hey, now you're talking.
He's been on the Toxic's been on the sauce tonight. He's got to have been.
Oh, he's having a laugh. That's
Gold
what
of
Toxic's
Ben.
doing. I know that now.
The only other front three would be Chelsea's.
Yeah.
Havertz,
Werner.
I rate Werner. I think he's good.
Werner now, but you laugh because Werner, when he was, where was he? Was it like what was he before? Leipzig?
Yeah, Leipzig. Yeah,
he was very good. He was very good. Yeah. He come to Chelsea and they've done what we do to players.
Lukaku, he was very good for Inter.
I know, but they've done exactly what they've done. What we've done to players in the past.
Yeah, they have. They've ruined both those players. Tuchel ruined.
Why? Because they don't.
Lukaku at Spurs under Conte. Yeah.
Look at all the players.
You wouldn't play him in front of Kane, but Conte would get the very best out of Lukaku. 100%. And Werner. 100%. Havertz.
Kai Havertz. What's his name? Ziyech. Yeah. Timo Werner. Obviously, what's his name? I forgot his name. Lukaku. None of them players, to me, look like they've got better at all. They're either at the standard or they've left.
I think Tuchel's massively overrated as a manager. I would say those players have nowhere. They haven't reached their sort of, not saying full potential, but they haven't reached their usual heights that they have previously.
I think Chelsea is a very difficult club to be a coach of, given what goes on in the background.
And we're not. And we're not.
Well, I think there's a bit more stability at Tottenham.
I hope so.
Chelsea.
I think Chelsea have the instability at Chelsea has only come recently because of what's happening with Rodman.
But their instability is part of their model because their instability is what they do.
Their coaches. I mean, the number of coaches they had, Scolari, they've had,
But it's part of the model. What I'm saying is they win and they rotate, they get them in, they win again, they rotate them in. Nobody stays for long. Even bloody Di Matteo won the bloody Champions League, didn't he? Yeah. And I know it was by default, but he still got it and they moved him on. Another manager comes in. Ancelotti wins FA Cup, wins the league, move him on. It's just what it is. That's Chelsea's model. But it's successful. If we had a successful model by doing what they were doing, which we do anyway to a degree, and had the trophies to back it up, I don't think we'd be saying our Spurs are this or that. We'd be saying, well, it's part of what works for us.
But how long is that sustainable for?
Well, that's the point. Now we'll see if they have got any sustainability in terms of winning stuff with that same model. I don't think it will work.
Because that noise about Chelsea having one of the best football academies in Europe, etc., is nonsense. Because they buy in their academy players are all brought in. They're not scouted or developed. They're all brought in and then they're just on a conveyor belt, shipped out, loaned out, and they just churn. That's essentially what they do. Just churn. Right
then. I'm going to say this. This is how we end the show. All things being equal, looking with our crystal ball, looking into the future. Come next season, do we see this front three as being the best front three in the Premiership? Mike?
Oh, flipping out.
Yeah.
Rephrase that question. As in now or by the end of the season? Or
knowing what you know now, knowing that how we've developed, knowing that they've only been together effectively 2 months, just over, knowing that we've got a pre-season with Conte, blah, 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 blah. We don't know who's going to come in the other teams. I know that, but I'm just trying to see what we kind of think now. Do we think that these guys will have the most goal combinations of any front three in the Prem? I'll answer it first. I think so. And the reason I think so is because unless we have injuries, that's the only thing. If we've got to take all the different considerations, injuries, suspensions, but all things being equal, from what I've seen, if we have a pre-season with these players and these players can have a bit more adaptability in, say, the pre-season games, let's see what Kulu's like as opposed to just playing on that right, maybe as a central, see what happens, see how these players develop. I think we could have the best front three next season. That's my thoughts.
Do you not think age will come into it?
I think they're all I say Son and Kane are at their prime. I certainly think, you look at Benzema and Lewandowski, 34, 30, what is it, 35? Respectively, or whatever they are. I know the different levels of quality. Yeah, I get that.
We can't compare French league. I mean,
Champions League, they're both operating in those. So, you know, Benzema scoring in the Champions League this season. So is Lewandowski.
It's not played. Champions League's not played at the pace and speed that the Premier League is it? The Premier League, there's no faster league in the world than the Premier League. It's
a different animal. Conte tells, you know, Conte says that, and he knows it. You know, that's why he wants specific recruitment. The only problem with your hypothesis, Sam, is that you're saying that the other teams don't improve their squads.
Well, as I said,
I think we have the potential to have the best front three in the Premiership, without a doubt.
The only reason why I say that is, wouldn't you say we were a step ahead because of the fact that we've got the players now?
We're a step ahead.
Yeah,
but we don't know what's going to happen at the basket case that is Manchester United. We don't know what's going to happen at the other end of the Seven Sisters Road, which is forever going to be part of Woolwich. We don't know what. I mean, Liverpool have already started overhauling their front line.
Yeah.
And City, well, who knows what City are going to do?
Very true. And as I said, we didn't even do the comparison to Man United. Had they been playing well, you could have done there. Ronaldo, Sancho on one side, whoever they want to play on the right. Obviously, we know the situation with Greenwood, but they could play anybody. So their front three would have been a comparison to us, but they haven't worked out. And that's not because they don't have the talent. It's because of maybe some of the attitudes of the players. The whole team itself is there's a lot of problems.
Trophy signings.
It's a lot of problems at Man United.
They seem to buy players to move shirts, not to win trophies.
And I hope
long may it continue.
I hope we've moved on from that. Anyway, I think we might have the makings of potentially a very, very good trio of players that could maybe take Spurs to, consistent goals.
And if Mike's wish is true that we strengthen the defence and the midfield, we could have a very, very good season. And that'll be my last contribution.
Postman, I'm going to read this. Go on, sorry, Mike.
Go on, read that post.
No, I was just saying, Postman saying the whole world already knew we had two world-class players in Son and Kane. Kulu's addition makes it more of a threat. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, you could have argued last season we had three world-class players, because I still think Bale's in that world-class bracket, although I know there's debate about his fitness and whatnot, but I think we've got the potential. There is certainly the potential for that front three to be the best, or one of the best. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think the front. Obviously, Kane and Son, that stories we know all about. But as a whole, that three as a whole, it's
what
definitely
about Romero?
Got potential.
What about Romero? Does he become
in the front three?
No, but a world class player.
He will be
talking about the squad widely,
He will
definitely
be.
He definitely. I personally, he's not far off it now.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think he's in that. He's on board. He's borderline on that bracket of being world class easily.
Yeah, I think so. Gents, that's been it. It's been a good one. I like that one. We're gonna have to do this Saka thingy, Kulishevsky one. It's gonna really cause problems at the Army TV. Them boys are gonna be not having that. That'll be good. So then maybe we should think about that. That could be
they won't have that.
Anyway, we've got more stuff coming up on Thursday. Preview show for the game against Brighton, because we've got other stuff happening as well. The kickoff on Saturdays at 12:30. So therefore, our reaction show will be 2:40-ish, somewhere around that time. And we play first in the weekend. So yeah, we've got to put the pressure on the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United. We can put pressure on them, but I think they put pressure on themselves. Anyway, make sure you like the stream and make sure you hit that like button, notification bell, as well, as I've been reminded by Sean many a time. Hit the notification bell as well. Share this content around. Make sure you put your comments in the comment section as well as that. And yeah, join us on Thursday for our preview show. And long may these Spurs go marching on. Mike, Sean, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for the invite. Even if I'm not allowed to develop my thoughts.
You can't mention about Glenn Hoddle in any negative light.
Hold on.
I know. It sounded like it was going to be Glenn Hoddle and some. No, Glenn Hoddle is God. That's what it is. Glenn Hoddle is God.
Yeah, I think you're hard pushed to find a better player than Hoddle. That guy was a genius.
I saw him play. As I said,
he was our Maradona. I think that's probably.
Well, Maradona thought he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, Maradona thought he was a very good player. And for anybody to say Glenn Hoddle wasn't a baller, he just came. He was too early for England. Oh my God, he was too early for England. They didn't know what to do with him. That's the problem. Didn't know what to do.
What he did in Monaco. Oh
God, he was. Anyway, let's not, because I can talk about him all day long. Time to go. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Sean. Brilliant show, and we'll catch up again